everyone. Here we are again talking with Rose because unfortunately last time we had bad internet connection and we were not able to talk freely together, had a conversation, unfortunately. But it will be changed today, so I think that we will come back to this 108 topic a little bit, but I think we will go beyond that and we'll have conversation about everything that is interesting. Hey Rose, how are you doing?
Hey, good. How are you, Alexander? Thanks for talking with me again.
Good, good. I remember like it was 2 years ago. I checked it last time. 2 years ago, we had
Yeah,
like epic talks about the entire universe and stuff like that. I actually
yeah,
would also want this time, probably it's the time, to talk a little bit more also about your experiences, your ideas about all of that. So I hope we can do this today.
yeah. That sounds good. Okay. Yes.
Yes, so maybe, for like to keep things going, I will start with the presentation we had last time. I will try to be like more concise about it, but these are very, very interesting things that we covered, and as you've said, it is connected to what you've been researching recently and what you said
Yes.
about the eclipses and stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah, the 108 stuff. And recently, after our last conversation with you, another content creator and researcher, Ra Castaldo, who is right now writing a book, he's into plasma universe stuff,
Mm.
he said that actually what we've been covering is right. And from his knowledge, he speaks with other authors, doctors, professors, etc. He said that what you've meant about this 108 being a very sacred number in Hinduism, for instance, they actually, according to him and his guests on his show, are like aligning through their mantras of 108 to this what we talk about, the solar, moon, and earth, like
Yeah.
geometry. So I thought this is very interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
yeah,
yeah, that's
is
why I
it?
always like when other people comment. We have comments here.
Yeah.
We welcome Walter Crattenden here in the chat. We have live comments, so if anyone watching, listening to us have their own ideas or maybe want to ask our some questions, go ahead. You can do that. So we are open for questions. But okay, let's start with this 108 because, yes, this is a very sacred number in Hinduism. This is also, as I will show in later slides, a very sacred number, an important number in ancient texts like the Rig Veda. I also think it's very important when it comes to the pyramids of Giza. And I think that this
Mm.
108 is one of the numbers connected with the matrix of reality, as some people would call the code behind our simulation, our material world. But it's also a code not only behind the matter as physical objects, but actually it's also connected to what I've already been talking about in my book. Deja Vu has everything already been about the cyclical time, because I think that the ancients left us this code and it also applies to the cyclical repeating history. So I think it's very like cool, important, because as we've said last time, science says, oh, our material world is random, solar system is random, these are just clusters of matter that accumulated over billions of years, and just these kind of matter accumulated into planet, into the sun, and it's all like orbiting according just to the laws of gravity. But from these equations that I will show you today and I've showed the last time, we'll see that it's much more. There is something behind it, some geometry, some would say even synchronicity behind all of that. So that's why I think it's very interesting. But going to
Yeah.
this, to the key, I quoted Sadhguru where he was talking about this 108 in the yogic tradition, and he said something along the lines of the diameter of the sun multiplied by 108 equals the distance between sun and earth, and the diameter of the moon multiplied by 108 equals the distance between earth and moon. The diameter of the sun is 108 times the diameter of the earth. So basically we are saying 108 everywhere, and we have three different celestial bodies because we have the sun, the earth, and the moon. And what is interesting is that we have this 108 as a ratio both between the distances of these three completely different celestial bodies, because, you know, the Earth orbits around the Sun, but the Moon isn't orbiting only the Sun, but it's orbiting actually our own planet. So we have actually two different systems. We have Earth orbiting around the Sun and the Moon orbiting around the Earth. And we have distances, ratios of distances between these bodies, and also their diameters. So that's why I think it's much more than just a coincidence. I think it's an underlying code, that it's like a blueprint behind both the bodies and the distances between the celestial bodies in the solar system. And why I gave three different colors to this quote is because basically what these three pieces from this quote are sets of equations where we have x, y, and z. So x may be Earth, y may be Sun, and z can be Moon. And then we have 108 as a ratio, and we have three different sets of equations which we can basically, calculate just by inserting onto x this different parts of the equations, just as, basic maths from actually primary school, at least here in Poland. I don't know how it's abroad, but it's very
Well,
cool. And I
yeah.
did that, and here is the visual representation of this equation. So basically 108, this red line means the diameter of the sun equals, and this like arrow means the distance between the sun and earth. Then 108 moon diameters equals the distance between moon and earth, and then 108 diameters of the earth equals the sun diameter. So these are the basic sets of equations. And then, as I've said, we can, just as in maths, combine these sets of equation, insert this into that, etc. And it then can be further elaborated into 400 diameters of the moon equals the diameter of the sun, and then the distance between moon and earth times 400 equals the distance between sun and earth. But then it goes even beyond that, because the final equation is 43,200 diameters of the moon equals the distance between sun and earth. And, conspiracy of 432 hertz, and also spiritual community about the tuning to 432 hertz, and, the number 432 frequency. It's not only that, it's based on the already ancient knowledge, like the number of syllables in the Rig Veda is 432,000, so 432000, and then the number of stanzas is going back to 108, because 10,800, so 108 with two additional zeros. But also, it's applied, as I've said, I believe, in the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is the model of the northern hemisphere of our planet, on a scale of, again, 1 to 43,200. So 1 to 43200. So again, these numbers are everywhere in the ancient times, and these numbers aren't random, because they are based on the precession of the equinoxes, which is, as we can see on the left side of the slide, that it's an additional orbit of our planet. So our planet revolves around the sun, which is one orbit. The second one is that our planet revolves around its own axis. So basically, Earth revolving around the sun is 1 year. Earth revolving around its own axis is 1 day. We know that. But then Earth revolving around this additional orbit that we can see, it's like a wobble of our planet, is what is called the great year, the platonic year of 25,200 years. This is an additional movement of our planet that leads us to why we are seeing different kind of zodiac systems throughout the astrological ages, because it is because of this movement of our planet that we can see each 2160 years a different zodiac sign on our horizon during the spring equinox. So I have this in my book and I talk it a lot in different
Yeah.
episodes, but these are the zodiacal epochs, so approximately 2160 years there is a new zodiac sign, and this is based on this great year, Platonic year of 25,920 years, but we can divide it into however many we can think of the zodiac signs. We can divide it into 36, 13, as some people say. There are 13 zodiac signs according to
Mm.
them. No matter how we divide it, it's always, the same number of the full circle of the full epoch of 25,920 years. And in my
Mm-hmm.
book I found that it's basically on these cycles of and of these zodiacal epochs that our history repeats, that there are
Yeah.
repeated cases of history each new zodiac sign. So there is a repeated history from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, or from the age of Aries into the age of Pisces. So I think of it as a code of, we can say, reincarnation, code of the human life, that okay, these are the cycles, these are the repeating patterns, repeating universal themes, archetypes, etc. And these are all based on this code that we started with, 108, sacred number in Hinduism, but not only. So this
Mm.
was it. There is much more to that, and this presentation is much longer if we want to go into that. But I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you, what do you think of that, and what are your thoughts on all of these ideas?
Yeah. That's very in depth. I like what you put. I just keep thinking about the. I think you touched the. I don't know what the Rig Veda is. Is that the Vedic astrology? Is that what it means? Rig Veda? Because
Rig
I
Veda
think.
is the sacred book
Oh,
of the
sorry.
of the Hindu Rig
Yeah.
Veda, like the Vedas. There are four Vedas, so the Rig Veda
Yes.
is the oldest and the first one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. They have a different system to the Western astrology. I don't know if they reference it in the book, but I find some of the interpretations can be like they cross over, but more accurate in some sense. So I think they understood a lot of the numerology as well, like in a different
Hmm.
way. And yeah, like you said, 108 is very sacred in um Hinduism or in that culture. So that's yeah, that's all I kept thinking about. I think yeah, it's hard to explain because they have a different system of understanding the sun, the stars, the planets, and
Hmm.
um, I assume it would still fall into what you're talking about because it's still the same planets, but they have like in terms of astro like theology and other stuff like
Hmm.
how it affects the earth. You know, they have a different system, so it can yeah. I know it's probably not exactly related to the numerological side, but it would be interesting to pair up yeah how because you put the the zodiacs because they don't follow that, they have something
Hmm.
different, I think. So I don't know. That's what I was thinking about. I don't know what system exactly they use, but it's very detailed compared to our Western system. I feel like yeah they have a little bit more nuance. Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you checked the Vedic
No, I haven't
charts?
checked
No.
that
It would
deeply.
be too
No, no, no.
complicated. Yeah.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah, but that's the next thing. And here, for any kinds of people who don't believe in that, like, oh, these ratios, because the solar system is huge, and people say, you see, like 92 million miles is the Sun Earth distance,
Mhm.
239 miles is the Earth Moon distance, and people say, oh no, it's not that, in such a huge scale, it's not that exact. But here are the calculations to plenty of decimal places showing us that it's literally truly 108. It isn't like 106 in one, 111 in the other. No, it's ever 108. And in the first equation, it was 0.778 percentage error. In the second is 0.25. And in the third, I don't see because I have an overlay, but again, around half percent or something like that. So it would be exactly like from these equations that, oh, the diameter of the sun times 108.0001 or something like that equals that, or
Yeah.
108.05, or it will be very, very accurate. So this is another thing that, from my own perspective, I know a little bit about how science portrays the universe, the solar system. It doesn't make sense what I'm showing to you. That's why I'm, presenting it everywhere I can, because if you, let's say right now, show it to a person who is like completely into the scientific, even deeper than I am, into the scientific view of the solar system, they would say what black magic it is, what superstition it is. They would treat you as some kind of idiot because how you
Coincidence.
portray that, but it's mathematically all correct. I did plenty of
Yeah, yeah.
mathematical equations on that, and that's why I always show it to people, because for a person who is very deeply into the science, physics, astronomy, cosmology, this can be crazy stuff, because 108 everywhere, three different celestial bodies, two different kinds of things, because once we have the diameter of the body itself, like the moon, the sun, the earth, but then you have also the distances, which is a completely different kind of thing. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is crazy, but if we want to go crazy, and this is the same presentation, but here is the other kind of thing that I was calculating. This was the same paper in high school, and I was doing such crazy papers as assignments in high school, and
Wow.
it's always teachers weren't like very fond of it, but everything was like mathematically correct, as in this example, or in another one, meritorically correct. But here's another one. This is the Fibonacci spiral, basic ones, based on the Fibonacci sequence. And what I'm showing you here, that in the first middle, because the Fibonacci spiral goes with the Fibonacci sequence, I have Fibonacci sequence here, which
Mm-hmm.
is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, etc., etc. And basically, each next number in the Fibonacci sequence is an addition of the previous two. So you see that the second one is basically 0 point plus 1 equals 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Then 1 plus 2 equals 3. 3 plus 5 equals 8. 5 plus 8 equals 13, and so on. So 8 plus 13 equals 21, etc., etc. That's the Fibonacci sequence. And based
Yeah.
on that, we can have the Fibonacci spiral. So basically, I pointed the sun is with the first three numbers, so 0, 1, 1. Then Mercury is 2, and I have another set of calculations that shows you that it is true. Here it is, I will show it later, but with percentage error of 0%, 7%, 14 for Venus, unfortunately, but still I think it's very accurate. But you see that in the Fibonacci spiral sequence, Sun is the number 011, then Mercury is 2, Venus is 3, then Earth is 5, then Mars is 8, asteroid belt, or what I call the missing planets, planet is 19, 13, etc., etc. So again, the golden ratio and Fibonacci sequence even in this kind of solar system. So I think we need to connect this 108 stuff that we just seen with this and with golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence, and then we can see that there is some kind of underlying code of this solar system, that it's based on sacred geometry, not just the basic laws of
Yeah.
physics. Or maybe it can further point to us that the known laws of physics, like gravity for instance, or electromagnetism, are also based on the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence. And that's why I think that these things are like, we are just at the tip of the iceberg of the discovering the code of our reality, because it shows us how little we know. If we see
Mm.
such crazy things like the golden ratio everywhere, like the 108 everywhere in the solar system, we know, and we cannot compare that to the gravity or anything, the mass, etc. How this shows us how little we know about the laws of physics governing the entire universe. That okay, we cannot resolve how it can be like that, because how it can be, physics say, oh, it's just randomness, and science would say, oh, it's just randomness. So this is crazy, and this is basically all calculated with also plenty of decimal places, truly. And what is also interesting is that it is based on a true astronomical unit. This is a unit of measured use in astronomy, and this is sun-Earth distance. It is called AU. It is called astronomical unit, and this is basically the sun-Earth distance. And we had this astronomical unit in these sets of equations. So it's all based on true astronomical units, and it make it all easier to calculate all of that. So this is very crazy. Here's how I use, comparing these Fibonacci sequence for, the true distances ratios between the planets, because 1.0 is the Earth, which is wait, I have no, I don't have. 1.0 is the Earth, which is one astronomical unit, and zero point 0.4 is Mercury, 0.7 is Venus. These are ratios. These aren't like miles or something. These are ratios that are
Mm,
universal on all the scales. So I think it shows us even more universality in all of that, which I think is very, very cool. So that's
yeah,
why this is like the full presentation I always show about the
yeah.
geometry of the planets. And here it's even, this is a screenshot from Wikipedia showing us that these calculations, these are called Titus Bode law in, science. And they say, oh, it's random, etc. But here is, you see on the right side, it's like the red line and the blue line. And the, I don't see unfortunately, but yeah, the blue line is the actual distances of these celestial bodies like Earth, Venus, Mercury, Mars, etc. And the red one is this algorithm that I showed you. And as you see, the first like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 celestial planets, bodies, are
Mhm.
within this prediction. So it's very, very exact, and this graph shows us that. And I always show it to people because, according to this one, we've seen even on my own slide that I put asteroid belt as the next
Yeah.
one in the Fibonacci sequence because, even science say, okay, there was probably in the place of the modern asteroid belt a planet once, but they say, oh, it was probably at the beginning of the formation of the solar system, etc., etc. But for this algorithm to work, so the next planet would be after the asteroid belt, which will be Jupiter. But this algorithm shows us that there, needs to be a planet in the place of the asteroid belt because it is one of the numbers from the Fibonacci sequence and one from the numbers from this algorithm. So there was a planet, and even plenty
Mm.
of metaphysical sources like some channelings say that there was once a planet. Some people even say that this was the original planet of the Anunnaki, not the Nibiru with his crazy orbit
Mm.
or something. This is fake, but they say that this was the true like god planet, planet of the gods of the Anunnaki, and they
Yeah.
call it Marduk, Maldek. There are a few names of that, but and they say it is in the Inumat leash, etc. So it goes much further beyond that. So, yeah. And do you want to talk a little bit about it more or something?
Um, it's very like I understand the synchronicities, but it's very complex for me because I'm not very mathematical. I understand the concept though because there's so many
Yeah.
synchronicities happening
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's why I
Well, I
showed,
kind of yeah,
everything graphically. Like, there is maps behind that, and that's why I always have these
yeah,
slides for like mathematical people, but everyone can understand this, or everyone
yes,
could
yes, yes,
understood, yeah, this that's why I used to do like this fancy graphics, because I think it's very easy then to comprehend, and I show you that the
yes,
maths behind it is correct. Yeah.
yes. That's very helpful.
Yes, so maybe you want to talk about any kind of other topic. I would want to hear more from you, from your experience, your knowledge,
Yeah.
your research, and anything.
108 for me, like obviously it's a divine number, like you were saying, in Indian and Vedic, like uh, stuff like for example, they will have 108, I think, beads for their prayer and mantras and stuff like that. So there is a lot of truth in that already in the Vedic knowledge. So I feel like a lot of the Indian culture or whatever, they have. active knowing about this. So even though they like it's ingrained in their culture already, and they have a more better understanding of that realm. I feel like they have like within their society, it's more acceptable. So they're active in knowing about like numerology and all that, the planetary effects and stuff like that, compared to like modern day society. That's my experience, and there is definitely a powerful presence with 108. Like, because I have performed mantras on 108, and I know that there is like it can reprogram your thoughts, beliefs, and all that kind of stuff. So I think it comes back down to like the number 3, 6, and 9 as well. You know how Tesla said there is like I can't remember the quote, sorry, but he did reference 3, 6, and 9. So there is some divine presence with that number, like also just the number 9. Like everyone knows that's like a divine. Oh yeah, like it's well known that it's a divine number. Um, so when you explained all that stuff, I was a bit like, oh wow, that makes sense because a lot of like in the spiritual beliefs and stuff, there is kind of like it's not scientifically like shown the way that you see, and I think that helps pair it up a little bit more. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, I do find that oh, I had a train of thought. I'm sorry, but it does come back to basically the same, more or less, numbers that you were describing. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't have like a lot of knowledge on that, but I resonate with 108, if that makes sense. So I have
Yeah,
used
you
it in my
know
life.
how we can connect that to like basic spiritual experiences and spiritual knowledge. I think
Yeah.
that what these maths and geometry of the solar system shows us is that spiritual experiences and spiritual metaphysical knowledge isn't just, as the skeptics say, some kind of fantasy or hallucination of our brain. Because if you can through because okay, maybe there was an advanced civilization that cracked this code and left us this knowledge, in the Rig Veda, in the Vedic astronomy, or in the Great Point of Giza. But I also think that some, especially the Indian and the Hindu spiritual beliefs, are based on not advanced technology, but on personal, mystical, yogic, spiritual experiences. And I think it shows us that if they were able to tune in to the universe or something and attain this knowledge, and that's why they have 108 as the sacred number, and that's why they try to tune in to this geometry, and they know about it, and they've known about it, for years before science discovered all of that. I think it shows us that spiritual knowledge is another kind of version of attaining the truth about reality, just as science measures things that are out there in the physical reality. I think that the spiritual knowledge, gnosis, or whatever we can call it, is superior because I think it goes directly to the essence of the workings of the universe, to the essence of this matrix code. It is like, maybe we are in front of screens and you see like everything on the screen, like me, etc. But what it is a rendering of your computer, laptop, on whatever device you are. But imagine the spiritual knowledge of that would be if you could go into the code of everything, underlying this display on your, everything
Mm-hmm.
encoded,
Mm-hmm.
like the programming. Or imagine playing a video game in which like there is a 3D world and science is measuring a distance in this game from one place to the other in game, but the spiritual knowledge would be knowing how the game is programmed and what are the true like
Yeah.
code behind the distance in this game. I
Yes.
programmed
Yes.
the
Yes.
game, so I know more than you play. Let's say you play only the game inside and you try to measure,
Yeah.
okay, I'm distance this kind of meters or feet from this kind of object, but I know the code of the game and I know very well the true kind of measure. So I think that's a great analogy to understand here.
Yes. 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 Definitely. Um, and like I think there's a underlying. truth with numbers, I think it's formed our universe, like you were saying, somehow. I don't know. I am like the worst person to try and describe what's happening. I feel like I based everything off like my own experiences and what's happened to me. I'm more like, I guess, how do I describe? Like, I understand what you're talking about, but I see it from more like the overarching view because I feel like
Intuitive
it's
knowledge.
very complex for some minds to understand. Huh? It's very
Intuitive
complex.
knowledge.
Like I'm not very universal knowledge. Yeah, exactly. More like like the.
Intuitive,
Did you
like
say universal?
intuition, sorry.
Oh,
Intuitive.
intuitive. Yeah, exact. Yeah, exactly. I beg sort of like.
Yeah, and I
Yeah, I wish
tried.
I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue, and
No,
I
go
will.
on.
No, I said that this is intuitive knowledge. I also base everything on some kind of intuitive, deeper knowledge, but I try, to get it out of this unconscious spiritual realm
Yeah.
into the physical to show that there is truth behind that. Because science and modern society says, oh, this is just superstition or something. So I show
Hmm.
that this intuitive knowledge is real out in the physical also, but it's just underlying everything. So that's how I connect that.
Yeah, that's why I love it because it synchronizes with everything. It's kind of like what a lot of people already know or can't describe and makes sense. Like, I don't know how to explain how 108 works, but the way that you have presented it, do you know what I mean? Like, it just makes sense. So, and the geometry stuff, like, yeah, so I don't know. It's just, yeah, it helps because we're trying to pair a lot of the stuff that we already know has sentience and like it does form some kind of foundation, but you've got like the finite details of how everything kind of synchronizes and yeah, so yeah, it works like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm also like a heavy proponent of these numbers, the precession. I mention it everywhere in this cyclical time because, as you said, you have like your own spiritual experiences, intuitive knowledge,
Yeah.
but for the skeptics, you like it's hard to prove that. And for me, it was and
Hmm.
still is also hard to do that, but I try to show them that everything
Yeah.
that we call spiritual phenomena, metaphysical ones, it is just an underlying thing behind everything in the physical reality, just as people say with the law of attraction or frequencies, etc. And I show for the skeptics and for everyone who is in the materialic realm, so there is only materialism, nothing beyond. For them, is there is no soul, no energy, etc. I show them that yeah, all of these what you call spiritual beliefs are basically underlying physical phenomena like the 108 ratios in the solar system or
Yeah.
like the golden ratio in the entire solar system that I've showed you or like the cycles of history. It's not only a spiritual belief that there is karma, reincarnation, and that you are in the cycles on a level of your own personal life, that you go through cycles and you repeat sometimes the same pattern if you can't learn, etc. But it's also a much bigger thing. And I show them that, okay, it's not like a single example of a repeated history according to a random cycle. No, you can calculate these cycles, and these are these zodiacal epochs that our ancient ancestors were talking about, and they are based on
Mm.
a true astronomical phenomenon. It isn't like, oh, I invent the zodiac signs, okay, let's say there is a cycle of 20 years or something. No, these are true physical phenomena that are like a physical manifestation
Yes, yes.
of these deeper spiritual truths.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe let's switch topic for a little bit because this October I'm going with author and researcher Paul Anthony Wallace to a tour to Turkey. But
Yeah,
to
cool.
the yeah, I will also go to the basic places like the Istanbul, but we are going
Basic.
specifically, yeah, you know what I mean, but we are also going to unknown places like the ancient Urartu Arat civilization and the regions where,
Oh wow.
according to plenty of legends and myths from the ancient times, the ark after the flood, whether the ark from the Bible or from the Mesopotamian records, landed
Yeah.
after the deluge. So we're going to
Oh
these
cool.
places like the Arat mountain, etc. And I know
Yeah.
that on another show with Robert Kelly, you've mentioned that you traveled to plenty of places, and
Oh
Göbekli
yeah.
Tepe, you've mentioned. Maybe you can share some of your experiences in
Yeah,
Turkey.
yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say because I just remember when you were talking about that stuff, Armenia has a lot of sacred sites too. It's very close to, I think, where you're going. Like are you going eastern Turkey? Did you say? Like
Eastern, yeah.
yeah. So Armenia is like on the border over there, and they
hmm
have. I think that's where the Ark is, near there somewhere. But I
Yeah,
have
Arat
been.
Mountain, yeah, but it's in
Yeah.
Turkey. But this like side of the Turkey used to be Armenia in the past, but right now it's the
Yes.
Turkey and Armenia is like a little bit further away from that. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Right, right. I'd love to go to that area because it's very beautiful. I've seen pictures. Yeah, I mean, because it's very vast, Turkey. Like, yeah, I have been to Istanbul recently. I went last year, and yeah, it's very beautiful. It's a nice city, but yeah, I was talking to Rob about it. I don't know if I mentioned, but the inflation's pretty bad at the moment. It's quite bad, yeah. But I mean, it's still enjoyable. I'm not saying, but prepare yourself because I think it's not a third world country, Turkey, but it's more like it's not like modern like the living standard is not the same like when it comes to wages and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're a tourist, just be mindful of that because they don't have the same lives as us in the modern world, so like slightly less, you know what I mean? Like it is hard for them over there. I do feel that, but Turkey is yeah, it's very beautiful. I went to Göbekli Tepe last year. Yeah, are you doing any tours there? Are you going there or
Unfortunately, no. I would like also to go to Göbekli Tepe or the
oh
Rinkuyu underground cities
yeah,
and stuff
don't
like that
you?
now. Yeah,
I
we'll
broke
be
my
going
finger
to
there.
like megalithic sites in the mountainous highland areas and the
Yeah.
place where this Ark discovery and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe in the future I will go. But can you tell us more about these Göbekli Tepe, and probably you've been to other tepes or
Yeah.
only Göbekli Tepe?
Oh no, just go back. Oh, there's Karahan Tepe not too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. But I know I went to Cappadocia last time where Derinkuyu is, and I broke my finger there. So that place is really cool too. They have like a open air cinema. You can that's what they call it, I think, and you can see like really old. But yeah, Turkey is really fascinating. Yeah. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will
Well,
get
I
a
hope you
picture.
enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah, I also hope to. We are going with Paul Wallace. I will share for people, but I need to download a like
That's
graphic
cool.
of where we are going to. So wait, I will show you show you and other. Can I image?
So
Uh,
you will be studying the sites over there? Yeah, cool. I did see this. Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah. I will also
Gift
send a link
list.
to people because I help Paul promote it a bit, but I will check if it
Mm,
works. Wait, yeah, I can post a link to
very
the
nice.
comment section. Yeah, and also I will be in the near future, maybe the same time, because in October the academic year starts. I started studying history here at my local university in Poland, and I want to like get more into the Near East ancient history, like more specialization, not like broadly history, but I want to go into like this side of research. So, and
Okay.
I need to finish finally the paper I will be publishing about the flood myths connection, because basically it
Yeah.
turns out that the Bible took everything, even the details from the earlier ancient Mesopotamian sources when it comes to the flood, especially. So I will be, talking about that too.
Have you seen Gunung Padang in Indonesia? I think that's like an ancient.
Yeah,
I
but
think it's pre-flood. Yeah.
yeah,
There
but
are.
the problem. Yeah, the
Yeah,
problem with Gunung Padang is that the thing that everyone is talking about, 20,000-year-old pyramid, the 20,000-year-old is somewhere deep inside what we call the pyramid, but the pyramid overall may not be artificial, so not created by humans, but maybe just natural mound of stones. But the thing that is 20 something thousand years old is underground, so we don't know if maybe it was specifically buried, just as we know Göbekli Tepe was buried after
yeah,
its construction in later times, and we can, because of that date, the date of burial of this site, so maybe it's the same with Gunung Padang, but I don't think Gunung Padang, it's because of this, what I've told you, a very, very like smoking gun place, just as
yeah.
Göbekli Tepe is, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And so you said you're going on the tour. So what are you guys exactly doing? You're going to show, like, do you mind explaining what the tour
Yeah,
involves?
it will be the
Yeah,
basic tour, so anyone who wants, there are still a few places, can go with us. But yes, we'll be also recording some things, and from this side, because there's
yeah.
plenty of things. It's called by plenty of ancient cultures the cradle of. I don't, and Paul also, we don't think that it's like the cradle of all civilization, etc. But it's just like a later attempt at rebuilding of civilization, maybe after the Great Flood, just as the myths
Mm,
are telling us, or maybe later, because I think it's connected with both the Neolithic Revolution, because the Neolithic Revolution, just after the fall of Atlantis, when it comes to dates, so about 9000
yeah.
BC it started, it didn't start where the later ancient Sumerian civilization in the lowlands started, but it started in the highlands. And we know that by analyzing the first domesticated grains, that they came from these regions. So these
Oh,
regions, even archaeologically and mainstreamly speaking, are very important when it comes to the beginnings of human culture. And we think that maybe it was the first place, then after the Younger Dryas, whether it was this cataclysm
mm,
or another kind of cataclysm, and then the civilization started there. And there you see, maybe I will show you some other pictures too, because there you can see megaliths that are very similar to the famous ones in Peru, like Sacsayhuaman in Cusco, and
oh yeah.
others. So this is another mystery. Why are they? Why are these so similar? I will show you in a moment. Uh, like some picture that I used because we had like a video with Paul together recently. Okay, I have two pictures. Can I upload these or not? Wait, faux image file, and I need how they are called. 1 second. The first one, this one. Here is Paul Wallace from his previous expedition. This may not be like exactly like this megalithic monuments, but the other
Yeah,
ones are very similar. And what is
yeah.
also important, another one, Kefkalesi. So these are the names of
It
the
looks the
sites.
same.
Yeah, but I will show. Wait, Kefkalesi. It's called.
That's in Turkey or where?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that looks the same as the Peruvian one. Yeah.
very similar. But I show. Wait, can I know one? And there will be even another one in a moment. This is
Oh.
even more closely to this in Peru, in Cusco especially. But
Mm.
what is also very interesting, that this is the famous Lake Van, and it's famous both from the Bible and both from the other ancient Mesopotamian sources. But what is interesting is that the best and the most, and here I think it's Matthew Lacroix, because they were together on a
Mm.
previous tour with Paul. Matt Lacroix from his famous in his YouTube channels, etc., and he's author of multiple books. But what is interesting is that the
Yeah.
most resembling megaliths that are very similar to these megalithic mosaics of Sacsayhuaman and others are on the underwater, on the bedside of the Lake Van. And this is
Oh,
interesting because if they are
good.
underwater, how old they are? Maybe they are from before the cataclysm, actually. Maybe there
Yeah.
was this great flood. And imagine there was a civilization before the flood there. These megaliths were there before. Imagine if the flood came and, all the stories say that the ark went to these mountains, the Mount Ararat and others, and it landed there. So imagine if it went so high up, maybe the Lake Van is an artifact from
Yeah.
this period. So the waters were rising to these mountains, and then when the flood was, ending, they fell down, but the lake, appeared after the flood. You know what I mean? I have trouble
Yeah.
explaining that,
I
but
think so. I think so.
the waters rose to the mountains, and when
Yeah.
they were falling down, the lake, appeared
Yeah.
during the flood. Yes. And that's why we have these submerged ruins there.
Wow, that's really cool. Oh, okay. Is that part of the tour as well? Are you doing these
I won't
mini?
be diving, unfortunately. I think I would need
Oh,
a diving license or something, but who
yeah,
knows,
right.
maybe in the future or something. We'll also be not only talking to local guides, local people who can decode this script that is used there, because it's
Yeah.
like the cuneiform script, like similar to the Assyrian, but a local dialect, local kind of this language. But we'll also be talking to a few professors and, historians, like true academics there, because they are very open there that these sites may be much older and may be the keys to like lost civilizations. I have a
Mhm.
comment that I will show from Great Nick. Majorca is Atlantis 53, that the Basque country Navarre is the hidden origin of humanity and doomed Madrid. Christianity knows this. I think this is another great part in this huge puzzle, but I
Mm.
think that this Basque region is connected to like post cataclysm Atlanteans, and some people connect that because in the Basque language they have similar names as Atlantis, and they have like very specific blood type and
Yeah, yeah,
genetic
yeah.
type that is connected with like post Atlantean migrations. So you see them in when you look at the Atlantic Ocean, you see them exactly in the Basque regions, in the Atlas Mountains, in Morocco,
Oh, yeah,
on
yeah.
islands like the Canary Islands, but you also see them on the west coasts of the Americas. So it looks like there was an Atlantis on the Atlantic Ocean, and then people traveled, to all kinds of sites all over there. So I think that yes, Basque Country is another possible key when it comes to these lost civilizations and stuff.
Is it Basque? Is that the RH negative people with the red
Yeah,
hair and
yeah.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, okay, cool. They're
hmm
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you've mentioned also on the Robert Khalid show some of your spiritual experiences. Maybe you'd like to share also here with us today.
Oh, yes, okay. Um, but yeah, okay. So like I'm born here in Sydney, Australia, and I've lived here my whole life. But I don't know, I've always like I think most Australians feel like there's like a very spiritual how do I say like an undertone within our society, even though we're not very spiritual or like I don't know how to explain it. Like Australia is very diverse, and there's a lot of respect for the First Nations people here, even though it's not like specifically taught or anything like that. We just automatically feel that connection with them. And there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of like grief and stuff like that connected to the land because of what's happened here. And I think most Australians that understand what's happened feel that, and they want that connection back. I feel like it's kind of severed. A lot has happened here. So, anyways, like being someone that can be intuitive and stuff, which is most like I think most people can tap into that. And um, yeah, when I went to Uluru back in 2017, I was saying like I got triggered. I was saying to Rob, I got triggered by psychotic episode is what I would call it, and I had a lot of like messages and stuff come in from basically Uluru because what happened was it was the first time that I went to Uluru, and I was actually getting married at Uluru. I had never been to Uluru yet, and
Wow.
yeah, so I was getting married there, and I don't even know, like that's another story. Before we were not planning to get married at Uluru. We were planning to get married at Bali. We were supposed to get, anyways. So there was a lot of stuff that was happening in my life before we decided to get married at Uluru, and then after I got triggered, I got the psychotic episode, and I basically, I actually went to Turkey after that. Funnily enough, so after we got married at Uluru, and I went to Turkey by myself because I was going a bit psychotic, I would say, or going through psychosis. Anyways, when I was there, because my father was there, he was in Antalya, I don't know, Alanya. Yeah. Anyways, it was like near the beach side, and I stayed with him for like about a month. I don't know what, like, I don't know if you want to hear all this, but anyway, when I was there, I was, like led to find something like through synchronicities found Valerie, my mentor. So, anyways, I contacted her, and then we met, and we had like a very good relationship after, like, obviously after I came back from Turkey. We met, and then yeah, she really changed my life. So that's one aspect of how like my intuition helped me in my life to integrate what's the reality of this realm. And it sounds really like it was very confusing at the time, and but looking back, I can balance those energies a bit better. Like, I'm not saying I can go under psychosis and stuff like that, but it's recognizing and understanding that it's kind of like trying to balance all these energies and not overdo it. So yeah, there is a realm out there that, everyday consciousness might be like severed from. It's not completely connected, although it's still there. But once you tap into that, it's, expansive, and you see other things. So that's part of my experience, and I have a lot of these kind of experiences in my life where I've just had so many synchronicities happen, and sometimes I have to put like a pause onto it, because I think that you can get overwhelmed, and you can get like paranoid, or you can get psychotic and stuff like that. So it's good to test yourself, but know your limit as well. So yeah, especially now that I have a son, and like there's just so many factors nowadays. But yeah, I have had like weird experiences to make me believe in all these kind of spiritual realms or understandings that you're describing in a different sense. But yeah, Valerie really taught me how to ground myself, and to believe the power of prayer, especially with she followed Sai Baba. She went to his ashram, and I'm sure she had many experiences where he blessed her books, and he manifested rings for her, and like she had so many experiences with her husband John as well. And yeah, they were just really, I really miss them a lot, actually. They were just yeah, they were a beautiful couple that helped me along my way, and their story is like um, got to do with a lot of like ancient Egyptian timelines, and also past what do you call it, past lives and stuff like that that link up. And Australia has an ancient Egyptian uh, history, so yeah, it does fall into Atlantis and all that kind of stuff. Like how Stephen and Evan, and who else talks, like Valerie talks about it, and there are a few people that talk about this stuff that have like significance to what has happened before, and yeah, just tying in all of that knowledge, because Australia is actually very sacred land, and I believe a lot of it has started here, and yeah, like I don't know what to say. That's my, as far as I know, That's how I have understood. So yeah, but
Great, very
um,
interesting. Very
very
interesting.
interesting.
I can relate to a lot because I also would say that I had episodes in my life when I was like too into this woo spiritual and too less grounded. And I think like the lesson, as in your case, is that okay,
Yeah.
and this is a lesson that I see no, because in modern spiritual communities, plenty of people say, oh, forget about the material world, just ascend, don't care about everyday life, etc. But I think it's a wrong way to live, and I think we are for some reason here, and we need also to be here. It doesn't mean that, oh, I need to all day long think about spiritual thing and don't care about everything in matter. No, because I wouldn't survive. It would be, everything
Yeah,
bad would
exactly.
happen in my life, karma or something. So I think we are here for a reason, and I think that we should also focus on the material stuff, and they may also be some kind of lessons. Maybe we even on spiritual level want some experiences in material life. Maybe okay, we thought let's explore just as we go to Turkey or whatever for holidays. So maybe
Yeah.
we go from heavens or somewhere. Let's go here and explore this world for one or two or some however many incarnations or something like that. So yeah, I can relate to being like too little grounded and going too much onto this side, but also then,
Yeah.
and I think it's like as you've said, balancing of the energies. Then I went to the other extreme, being too much grounded, and
Oh,
it was also maybe it wasn't like very negative both of these sides, but I see right now that you need both. You need to be both. Sometimes, depending on the situation, grounded very hard, and on the other, you need to be more into like intuitive spiritual side of things. So as you've
yes.
said, balancing of everything.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And
Um,
do you have any
yeah.
kind of information as you lived your entire life in Australia? What are your thoughts about like ancient or prehistoric Australia? Because you say that plenty of things started there. Can you tell me
Yeah.
more about it? Because I know a bit, but I'm not that much into Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I
I'm
mean,
not
I
that
haven't
much into
researched it
Australia.
that heavily or experienced. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That was just funny. Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know how to explain it. It's just so Uluru is a sacred site, and as far as Valerie told me, it's from the stars. So it's come down, and there's like star races, okay, that are involved in this planet and helping create what's here and now. And according to her, I think it was the Leonine. I want to say the race of yeah. So she had this whole story about ET race, like the Pleiadian ship. Like honestly, I can't do her justice. I just feel so bad to talk about the story because I can't do her justice. But she does have her books like the Book of Love, and that one really helped me. And she also has her last book was Uluru. So if you want to learn, I think it's best to read her books, or she still has her YouTube video up. Like I'm pretty sure she has, but her website's unfortunately not there. She had a lot of information on there. Um, yeah, so but she talked about star races, and basically um, there was a crash that had happened, and it involved like all like mainly the reptilians and the leonines and other beings, and oh yeah. So, I'm sorry, I cannot do her story justice because, I just it's her story, right? So, anyways, it's linked to Carry On, which is a sacred site here, and the ship I think had a collision near, like in the water near there or something, and anyways, as far as I remember, she had a lot of synchronicities again, right? It happened where she had this stone that had a happenstance come to her because the name of her property was the same name as a stone, and it had come from Sirius, and so she had this stone basically talk to her, and tell her stuff. And then she had an elder come, and then that's how she found out about Carry On and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, so it's a long kind of story, but basically, yeah, it does have to do with consciousness. That's what she always focused on. Everything has a consciousness, and I guess that's what she was tapping into, because when the stone was talking to her, she described it as being like it was overpowering her, and she couldn't like yeah, it was just like overtaking her. So, but she learned to trust the process, and a lot of stuff happened. Like she was there, her and John were very, very interesting and magical stuff had happened to them. Um, and yeah, yeah, that's yeah. I'm sorry, I probably butchered all that, but
Don't worry, I understand. I think the whole concept, and whether it was like Leonine or whatever, Pleiadian, it
yeah,
matters. You can check that out as you've said in the books or whatever. But I think the entire
yeah.
story, like, it's the most important ones. But is there any connection, because you've mentioned on the spiritual consciousness level, but is there any connection like with lost civilizations like Atlantis or
Yeah, yeah.
something in these stories?
Oh, she had knowledge about Atlantis. Well, but I think I don't actually know how it's connected, but it is all connected. Like, Carry isn't the only ancient Egyptian site, I think, in Australia, but that's the main one that I know of. I think there's Gympie pyramids. What else is it? There are other ones that I suppose connect into that Atlantis stuff. Uh, yeah, it's very hard
Don't
to.
worry.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
worry.
sorry, but there are a lot of sites here, and I was gonna say, I was gonna ask you, have you ever been triggered by anything that has had like sentience, that has a bigger consciousness, that you could feel the effect of, and then kind of like overtake you, kind of like how Valerie.
I wouldn't say it was as specific as stone, single stone having consciousness, but I had one
Yeah,
experience when I was like spiritual or semi mystical experience when I was in the forest, and it's connected to, again, how reality at a deeper level than the material one works, but also to some extent maybe on the law of attraction or frequencies, etc. Because it was autumn here in Poland. I was, in the forest walking, and I had an experience where the falling leaves, and okay, there was a wind, so material phenomenon, and the winds were, everywhere flying over you. But then I experienced it at a deeper level because I've seen that the leaves actually are responding to, I would say, my personal aura. So like it wasn't
yeah,
just a wind and the gravity, like these leaves are falling. No, I've seen that they
yeah,
are like responding to bioenergetic field of myself, and depending on, the thoughts, how I shift like my energy, emotions, they completely change. So this was be about the consciousness underlying everything, but didn't have like experience of a single leaf or a tree having like a deeper, no, unfortunately not.
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, yeah. I feel like you do get more experiences in stuff like forests and the natural world. You will, but yes, for me, I think it's the opposite. I have had because I have traveled a lot. For example, when yeah, this is why I was asking you, because when I went to Nepal, I went to what is it? There's a mountain, Ganjuk. It's called Ganjuk, and you can see like the Himalayas, basically, Fishtail Mountain. And I had like a massive another psychosis. It's terrible, but again, it triggered me, and I heard this high pitch, really really high pitch, like tone, and yeah, from there I had I had to like it was a lot. It was a lot. So after that, I came back to Sydney like pretty much straight away because it was too much for me. And yes, these sites are like especially the high vibration or whatever you call it, or they hold sentience and they have like a deeper memory fields. I want to say that you can kind of tap like or get affected by. So when you go, because you're going to Turkey, I guess, so you might find something happens on more what do you call it, intuitive level or whatever. Yeah. So like in my experience, even though it might sound weird, like if you do follow that, you might find more synchronicities happen or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like tapping into either place or an object or a mountain to, get the information from it. I also think like of the reverse way to encode information. Maybe our
Oh
ancient
yeah.
ancestors encoded.
What?
And to you, especially when you talked about a rock like telling things and having this big consciousness, I thought to myself, if a single rock or stone can do that, maybe this entire like mosaics of stone in Peru, etc., maybe these are basically some information codes like
Yeah.
servers for internet or something. Maybe these were encoded with something. I think of this way, and then maybe okay, these are just stones for us on material level, but maybe by tapping into them or the Great Pyramid of Giza, we can actually get this information. Maybe we talked about the Great Pyramid being this model of the Earth, and people see plenty of connections. There is like the golden ratio in the pyramid, number pi, number phi, astronomical stuff. But maybe this is just one part, the material part of it, and maybe it is to point us that the pyramid is preserving knowledge, and then we can tap spiritually
Mm-hmm.
into the stones and into the building itself, and maybe we'll see, oh, it's like a memory stick, like a disc or something.
Yeah, I like how you put that. That makes sense to me. Yes, it's kind of like you need the like the foundational proof of what's happening so that you can go in deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, yeah, I really because I used to do graphic design, so I'm into geometry and all that kind of stuff. So I totally get where you're coming from, and there is a sacredness to formulas and mathematical stuff. It's just I find it hard for me to get my head around a lot of it, but I have a keen interest in understanding what's happening. Like, and I'm learning like music at the moment, so that also has like a lot of mathematical principles. Like, so yeah, they all tie in together. It's just basically the language that you speak, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yes,
everything
I
is
think so.
more or less the same.
Yes,
Yeah.
and actually we were talking about it. Okay, it's geometry, it's music, like there is some kind of things encoded in that, but basically this notion is again ages old. If we, let's say, see Pythagoreans, and they were the mathematicians, and they created, invented all of the, or rediscovered to be exact, all of the geometric stuff and music theory. They were the inventors of the music theory. They actually were also telling that everything in the cosmos is like one big organism. There is logic behind that. They actually had this notion of the music of the spheres, and they even mentioned that to like a casual material human beings, they cannot prove the music of the spheres. Like you cannot hear the planets revolving around and creating music, but they probably had this idea from their altered consciousness states experiences, and that's how they, maybe during these altered states of consciousness, they heard this music, and they
Yeah,
said that everything is mathematical and it's based on the sacred numbers, but this object is mix of these numbers and this other is this mix of these different numbers, and that's how the reality works. So it's very similar. The same later, like in the Renaissance time, Leibniz, the famous philosopher, he wanted to either invent or rediscover again like the most primitive language there can be that could be universal. That basically, he said, each thing has, we would say nowadays in spiritual terms, its own frequency, and you base the names of the frequency. Like that's why basic words like mom, like dad, mother, father, brother are very similar all across the globe, because maybe,
Yeah.
children, when they are infants, they say the first word that they intuitively think when they see their mother or their father. I think
Yeah.
like that. And, this philosophical language was basically this idea. So let's say mother, father, these are different frequencies, cat, dog, these are different frequencies. So we could have a language that is based on a true essence of different kinds of objects. So, okay, this is like the
Mm,
general intuitive vibration of mother. Like if you think about mothers, on a global scale, like not only of your mother but everywhere, like mothers, you have
yeah.
like a particular intuitive feeling, intuitive frequency that you get from that. So let's base our language on
Yeah.
that. And this different, the world has different kind of frequency, this kind of region has a different kind of frequency. So that would be like based on reality and on the deepest essences of different objects and beings, language on that. So as I say, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Wow. Very deep. Very cool. I like the way
Let
you
me know
think.
if you want to, if you have some comments, some ideas, you know we
Mm.
can talk about.
I'm just thinking, like, as well, I can't think of anything at the moment, but um, I think you're very intelligent, Alexander. You're very like, yeah. I don't know how to
It's
describe it.
not intelligence. I mentioned to you in the last conversation, like there are
But you
different
are.
kinds
That's what
of
I'm trying to say.
this mind stuff, yeah, but intelligence
Yeah.
is a little bit different thing. It's a different quality of your mind, of your thinking. There are different, like, just as we
Yeah.
have like wisdom and intelligence, there are different things, but also within what we call intelligence there are different, like analytical mind, like this, like the one that goes into the deepest, like let's say you divide, like what science does, like they don't see a forest, they divide everything like single tree, then
Mm.
they divide like the wood from the leaves,
Yeah,
etc.,
yeah,
etc.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
one part. The other part would be the other way around, so connecting from smaller
yeah.
dots, like deductive, inductive. So there are plenty kinds of
That's what I
this
mean. I don't think
thinking
that
stuff,
way. Yeah,
right?
this is. I never thought of that. Like yeah, it's
Or
very
your
interesting.
intuitive knowledge is a completely different kind of thing. It's even different
Yeah.
than wisdom, because wisdom, I would say, would be reflecting on both your intellectual and your intuitive knowledge, and based on this
Mm.
reflection you are wise and you can have better decisions
Am I?
because you already got everything this, yeah.
Ah, thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah. Valerie taught me a lot, and like my mum as well. I feel like especially as being a mother and stuff. When you get initiated into becoming a mother, you understand life a bit better because it's you really value the input of your mother, and yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. Like for me, I couldn't have done anything without my mother, or like without Valerie. Like all these women in my life have changed the way that I see things, and they bring equilibrium, and even in the darkest places, they've been there. So that's the power of I don't know. I don't want to be like sexist or something, but the power of womanhood is there. Like they're able to see past all the illusions or whatever you want to call it. So
Yeah,
not
that's
me.
why they say the right
Yeah,
part of the brain is the feminine, and it's like this creative, this like going into truth, and the left side is, they say, masculine, because this is the analytical one in the like physical material reality. So I could agree that probably women can go more into this side, but it's, again, as you've said, not sexist, but sometimes it's natural that men go more left side, women go more right side, but it depends.
yeah,
Some people would be like both brains, some people would be like more heavier on this side, etc. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Not a competition. No, no.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
yeah. Overall, yes. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I
Mhm.
don't
Mhm.
know. It's night there for you, so probably want to sleep.
Yes.
We went above an hour, so I don't know if you want to go more. If not, maybe you have like some closing thoughts on everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that's been really nice and insightful. But I was going to say, yeah, do you want to just close off with the tour because that sounds interesting. When are you? Yeah. Again, I think you said when are you going again? This year
Yeah, we
sometime.
are going from the 8th to 18th October, so 10 days, and we'll be going both to the Istanbul for a few first days, and
Yeah.
then we're actually flying to the easternmost side of Turkey, so this highlands, ancient
Mm,
Armenia, as it was called, and places near Mount Ararat, near Lake Van, so, and we'll be spending lots of days there within these megalithic sites, yeah.
oh, so you are going to Armenia. That's cool.
No,
Oh,
Turkey, but it
oh,
used to be Armenia in the past, but
oh, sorry.
right now, yeah, it's currently
Yeah, yeah,
Turkey.
got it.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I know, got it. Oh, cool. Yeah, nice.
and
Well, like,
for anyone listening, if you want to join, there are still a few places, but not many because we already promoted this tour a lot. So there are a few more for anyone listening
yeah,
who wants to join. I think it's very
that would
great,
be
and I
cool. I
think
would love.
I don't
Yeah.
remember the full price, but I checked and it's much less expensive than other tours, like from other researchers and guys. And there is actually a significant difference because I've said, wait, I'm going with Paul this year, so it's on different
Except
terms, but I thought to myself, well, maybe it's time for me as a researcher to start going to these places. And I checked that some people, like some big names in the space of ancient lost civilizations and spirituality, have like very, very huge prices, some of them. So,
yeah, no, I have seen some. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I have. Yeah, yeah. So that includes accommodation and flights. You said from Istanbul.
you
Is
need
that?
to fly to
Oh,
Istanbul.
sorry.
So,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
actually,
and
no. I mean from. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
but there it's all within these, and what is also, that's why I was very happy about this, because here from Poland it's not that far away to Turkey and there are
Yeah.
cheap flights, so it's
Yeah.
easier to meet for me to get there. And it's this hours, it isn't like 12-hour flight, no, it's like
You're
four
lucky.
3 hours, yeah, so that's why I
Yeah.
chose that too.
Nice. Yeah. Meanwhile, if you're in Australia, you have to suffer 24 hours. That's okay.
Anyway, yeah, you have like Asia closely, but both
Yeah.
like Peru, UK, Mexico, and Turkey on the other
No,
side of the world. It's all far away, yeah.
it's all far away. Australia is far away. Yeah, forget it. Are you coming to Australia?
Not yet, not yet. I don't have,
Oh,
unfortunately, yet for the new future plans. I will try in 2027 next year to go first time to the US, but we'll
oh,
see. I don't like know 100%, but I will try finally. And mostly I've been traveling throughout Europe, like Mediterranean, Italy, Greece. I've been to many
yeah, yeah,
countries,
yeah.
but I haven't gone like past Europe or something.
Yes, fair enough. Yes, yes. Okay. Okay, nice. Yeah. I will check the tour out. I'll have a look and see. I probably won't be able to make it, but it looks really interesting.
You've been, to a lot of places, so you're lucky. And
I have
yeah,
traveled a lot. Yes, yes, definitely.
yeah.
Nah.
Unfortunately, I
You're
haven't,
still
like, as
young
I've
though.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is one point, and the second point is that I've traveled a lot when it comes to, like, in Poland we have plenty of, ancient and medieval sites. Also,
Yes.
like other countries nearby, like Lithuania, like as I've said, Mediterranean seaside. So I visited a lot, but
Yeah.
not further.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that's pretty common in Europe, I think. Yeah.
Hmm. We have so many places to. I still have so many places to visit nearby me, like 300 kilometers, so like 200 miles or something.
In
So
Poland? Yeah, okay.
in
Like
Germany, there are lots of places
Germany,
like
yeah.
you can, I
Sorry.
think, travel Germany for like 2 weeks or something. It took, sorry, 2 months to like visit like even basic sites. Yeah, there are a lot of places there
Germany.
too. Castles, yeah, France.
Yeah, Freiburg in Germany is really nice. I have been to Germany. Yeah, there's a big Turkish population. I have been a lot of places actually. Yeah, but I was gonna say
Awesome,
my
awesome.
yeah yeah. Anyways, it's okay. It's okay. We'll continue next time because it's like 3:30 here and it's a bit
Yeah,
late. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for your
thank
time.
you.
All the
Yeah,
best with everything. And I will share this on YouTube. I think it's still on there. Yeah, and Facebook. Yep. um, all right. We'll talk soon. And yes.
all the
So
best. Have a nice night or early morning. Thank you for taking your time from 2 to 3 a.m. For
I always
waking
love
up.
talking with you. Yeah. No, it's fine.
Okay, okay. And thanks
Okay.
for everyone listening in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.